Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Any mentions of rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean that the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal or tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. All rights reserved.
Football season has arrived. Coming up, how to retire like a champion. We'll join you in the end zone for the celebration.
And now, how to retire with Fuchs Financial.
The main thing for the majority of the listeners out there who are approaching retirement is I don't want to be surprised.
Helping you build, preserve, and manage your wealth.
You got Roth IRAs, you got individual accounts, and finding the right taxable strategy, that's going to be huge for you.
Welcome in to How to Retire with Ben Fuchs.
Welcome into How to Retire with Ben Fuchs. I'm your consumer advocate, Gary Nolan. And Ben is here to help us take charge of your money. Ben is a certified financial planner, certified private wealth advisor professional, and fiduciary with over 20 years experience. And, of course, he's with Fuchs Financial. Let's say good morning and hi to Ben. Ben, how are you?
Doing okay, Gary. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Favorite football team? Tell me.
Tennessee Titans.
I thought it was Tennessee, and I forget the reason why, though.
One, because people in New England go a little bit crazy when you tell them that. Number two, because I was actually raised in Nashville, Tennessee. I have a legitimate claim to my fanhood. Moved to Connecticut in 1997. I don't know if you recall, there was a certain quarterback named Steve McNair, a certain running back named Eddie George.
Yes.
They may have taken the team to the Super Bowl. They may not have done as well as they could have, but moving on. I still have a Frank Wycheck jersey, the tight end of that team.
Oh, nice. I remember that, yeah.
Part of the Music City Miracle, what greatest play in NFL history, without question. So,
yes.
I mean, there are some things that are part of my fanhood.
Okay. Well, you don't need to defend your choices to me, but, anyway. So I'm actually, I lived in Minnesota for 12 years. I lived in the Minneapolis, Twin Cities area, so became a huge Viking fan. Mm-hmm. And then I moved to Kansas City, spent 9 years there, so I became a Chief. I jumped on the bandwagon.
Got it.
Became a big Chiefs fan, and people always ask me, okay, so if the Chiefs are playing the Vikings, who would I root for? And I don't know. So
okay, got it.
We'll figure that out as we go.
I have some friends who are Chiefs fans, so I'm assuming you're a big fan of Holding. All right, never mind.
Yeah. Hey, I never said they didn't cheat. All right, so here we go. You ready? All right, so as football season kicks off, many of us are thinking about our team and what's in store for the season ahead. Let's talk about strategies for dominating the financial football field and how does retirement planning relate to football. So I'll get some comments on that, and then we'll go through each activity on the football field. Go ahead, Ben. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I can't tell you how amped up I am right now to talk about financial football.
I bet you are.
I'm ready to run out of that tunnel. All right. I mean, look, there are a lot of parallels. I mean, ultimately, when you are a football team, you have to prepare the entire time. Like, the game is the least amount of playing time that you actually get. You spend all that time preparing for the game during the week, running drills, getting prepared. And then before that, in the off season, working out, running on your drills, making sure that you are prepared, understanding the plays. I mean, whether you're on offense or defense, doesn't matter. You still have a playbook that you have to follow. Financial planning is the exact same way. The more you prepare ahead of time, the better you're going to be when you actually retire. It's not just, I'm retired, now what? Maybe I'll live off of Social Security. That's not what we'd call a winning strategy. So, just like a team needs a game plan to win, you need a retirement strategy to ensure a comfortable future.
All right, makes sense. Going to break it down by a few key ways to consider retiring like a champion. Let's talk about the kickoff first of all, Ben.
Yeah, start saving early. Just like starting strong in a game, the earlier you begin saving for retirement, the more time your money has to grow. Compound interest is like your MVP here. look, we've seen the numbers. I mean, one of the most interesting things that we talk about is when I'm talking to a client or even the client's children, and we talk about putting money in the Roth IRA, and let's say they're 25 years old and they're not going to take their money until they're 65. We start with $10,000. That $10,000 should double at least every 10 years. So from 20 to 30, we go from 10,000 to 20, then 20,000 to 40,000, and 40,000 to 80,000, and 80,000 to 160,000. Now, the biggest leap in growth was in that last decade. That's where we got an additional 80,000. And if we had another decade, that 160 would go to 320,000. And so the idea of this compounding interest here, the earlier you get started, the faster that ball gets rolling, the more value it has.
Yeah, you didn't tell me there'd be math on today's show, so I wasn't totally prepared for that.
You know what? You're right. Why would a financial planning show have anything to do with math? You're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. And to you and the community. I've let down my fans. I've let down my friends. We'll try to make it up to you.
Well, thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. Let's talk about halftime adjustments. You're getting clobbered in the first half. You got to make some adjustments along the way, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, some people look at like dating in our early years, but I'll leave that alone. So this is where you review and adjust your strategy every few years. It's crucial to revisit your retirement plan. Check if your investments are performing as expected and if your savings rate aligns with your goals. And just like teams adjust their strategies based on the first half, you need to tweak your plan on performance and changing circumstances. So let's take that into a little bit more of a breakdown. Let's say that you've been working at the same job and you get laid off, and all of a sudden, the whole plan that I had needs to be readjusted. All of a sudden, that safety net that I had saved up for myself in my bank account is now drained. All right, well, now we have to, when we get a job, one of the first priorities that we have to do is rebuild that safety net. We have to do lots of things and continue to adjust and readjust as time goes on. The reality is that for people that are retiring now or planning to retire in the next 5 to 10 years, have had a different employment plan than the people of the previous generation. They didn't work at one job for 30 or 40 years and get a pension. They changed jobs every 5 or 6 years, which means their plan had to change every 5 or 6 years. That's okay. That can be brought into consideration. And as life changes, as things happen in your life where you take care of your parents, take care of your kids, take care of your spouse, things that we know that our clients are dealing with, that has to be brought into your halftime adjustments as well.
All right, the game is close to end or close to the first half. You got that 2-minute drill going on, Ben.
Yeah, as you approach retirement, you'll want to ensure you're in the best position to make that final push. Look, I can tell you as a Titans fan, I can't tell you how many games I've seen won and lost in that final 2-minute period where they decided to prevent defense and all of a sudden they scored anyway. Or
that doesn't prevent anything. Defense.
it's my least favorite defense. I'm like, here, take all the room that you need to drive down the field. Here's another 15 yards in 4 seconds. I don't know how that happens. Anyway, I feel like never mind. Let's not get into the football conversation. We stick to what I know best, which is not football. But the idea is to be prepared for that final stretch before you reach the end zone. I can't tell you how many people we've seen right before retirement see a massive correction come in the market completely unprepared, and then if it takes 2 years for it to recover or 3 years for it to recover, I had a lot of people that had to go back to work after I met them after they retired in 1999. Much later, they had to go back to work, and I was meeting with them because they didn't prepare for that final end stretch. We can keep you from having to worry about that stuff if we just have the right plan.
Mm-hmm. Interesting how this one relates to financial planning. Perfect the play action pass. That's interesting. What do we got with that?
Yeah, this is a fun one. So it's all about leveraging your assets effectively. So, you need to utilize different investment vehicles and strategies to maximize growth and income. It's essential to success in your financial future. You need to put your money to work for you, like a quarterback using a play action to trick the defense and create opportunities. Look, you need to make sure that you're doing the right thing. I don't think we necessarily need to try and trick the market with our individual strategies. I don't think that's the goal. But I think it's making sure that we have the right play in place for the right situation.
Mm-hmm. And how about managing the clock? That has probably something to do with your time horizon, I'm guessing.
You know what? If I'm going to take a wild guess, yes, obviously, yeah. So, no, it's all about effectively managing your retirement income and withdrawals. Look, if we plan to live for another 40 years, we can't take 30% of our money out in the first 2 years. Let me put that in a better way. If I have $1 million that I'm planning for retirement and I retire at 65, I can't take out $300,000 of that million in the first 2 years in retirement. I'm going to run out of money pretty quickly. Right? So planning for longevity, healthcare, and unexpected costs are all part of this strategy.
All right, couple of minutes left, Ben. Field position matters. Why does it matter?
Yeah, formation is all about maintaining a sustainable income stream. You need to make sure that your investments are generating the income that you need for retirement, just like a team runs out the clock to secure a win. And for a lot of people, they use annuities to guarantee income streams. We use annuities in our practice, but we don't usually use them for income. Mainly, we use them to create a way that you can get growth without risking your principal. That's usually what we use annuities for in our practice. When we try to generate income, we like to do it in a way that you can maintain your principal so that you're not seeing that money run down over time. A lot of our clients want there to be something to leave behind to the next generation. They don't need all of it to leave behind, but typically something is part of the goal. And so in order for us to accomplish that goal, we don't want to have everything in income producing annuities, but we might allocate some money to it as a portion of your plan. But ultimately, look, our goal as a financial firm, our goal for, if you feel like you need help for this radio show, is to give you a place where you can get answers and you don't have to pay for that. You can give us a call, talk to a member of our team, and we can help you figure out how much income you actually need in retirement, the right strategies to get that income, when to take Social Security, how much that money is going to be taxed, what kind of estate plan we'll have, so how much of this money will actually be left over when you pass to leave to the next generation, or to look at active giving strategies while you're still alive. The way that we do that is by having you pick up the phone and give us a call. Now, one more thing I want to mention. For those specifically concerned about taxes, and that is a big thing in Connecticut, on September 5th at the Burlington Library, we're going to be doing a taxes and retirement seminar. So you can sign up. You can go to our website, fuchsfinancial.com, to sign up for that library to make sure that you can actually be in person and have live questions asked.
He's letting the clock run out on his Social Security to age 70 for maximum benefits. And here comes the Roth conversion. He's locked in for income for life. He's got some outstanding coaching with that annuity plan. He's created his own pension as well, and it looks like he's going to go all the way.
Play your best retirement game. Call Ben Fuchs at Fuchs Financial, 800-380-8985, 800-380-8985.
Welcome back to the show. This is How to Retire with Ben Fuchs. I'm your consumer advocate, Gary Nolan. Back with us, help you take charge of your money, is Coach Ben Fuchs. We talk about football. Ben is a certified financial planner, certified private wealth advisor, professional, and fiduciary with over 20 years' experience in retirement planning business. I'm going to call you Coach from now on. You like that?
No, please don't do that. Yeah, no.
Okay, I won't.
Listen, because I still, one of my old football coaches is a client, and I still call him. He's like, that's not my name. I'm like, nope, you're Coach. You're always going to be Coach.
Always going to be Coach.
Can't call you anything else. Yeah.
All right. So if you've been a good saver, you may find it difficult to move from working and getting a steady paycheck to having supply your own paycheck. So let's dig in. The end of the paycheck. It sounds so daunting, Ben. The end of the paycheck.
Right. Yeah,
wow.
The end of an era. Yeah.
Yes,
I like
exactly.
that. All right. So throughout your working lives, you've become accustomed to regular income stream. Retirement disrupts the pattern, creating a psychological shift where the absence of a paycheck can lead to anxiety about spending your hard-earned savings. So the fear of depleting that nest egg can override the desire to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Do you have a lot of people that just, basically, put lack of a better way of saying it, freak out the fact that that paycheck's over and they have to start drawing their money from their retirement savings?
Yeah, we recognize that early on. So one of the things that we like to do before people actually retire is to start setting up that income stream within their IRA. Why do we do it in their IRA? Great question, Gary. Thank you for asking.
My pleasure.
So because it's not taxed. Anything of that income that's generated inside of the IRA is not taxed until you take it out. So one of the things that we like people to see is to understand how their income will be generated without having them be forced to take it. So that when they do transition to retirement, they understand how that stream gets generated, and it makes a very seamless transition for them.
Right. So that's all part of your How to Retire blueprint when you put that plan together, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, sounds great. How about this? Underspending across the board. I've heard stories where folks who retired and have plenty of money, but they're afraid to spend it, and you have to actually nudge them along. Go ahead, spend some money. It's going to be okay, right?
All the time. All the time I do this. And this is one of my, I would say, my joys in life, is that I call some of my biggest savers cheapskates, and I tell them they have alligator arms. A little playful nudging. They can't reach their wallet because their arms. I say, but don't be, so I have to
reach for the check at the table.
Right. So, part of my joy is giving people a hard time. But listen, studies indicate that retirees often spend far less than they can afford. This phenomenon is not limited to those with modest savings. Even high net worth individuals exhibit a tendency to underspend. Now, to be fair, in contrast to that study, that is how they got there, right? People are not spending all the money that they're receiving. That's how they end up saving all this money and being prepared for retirement. So it's a very difficult psychological change for people to go from that saving mentality to that spending mentality. When I tell people, we're going to generate a paycheck for you, but don't save any of it, because that's a lot of times this money is just coming from their IRA. So if you take all this money, you save it, and you put it into your bank account, now you're just paying more taxes on money and putting it into a place where it's likely going to earn less than we're going to generate for them. Right? So you have to change that mentality also to say, look, I'm spending all of this particular paycheck. It's all coming from your savings anyway. So this suggests that the psychological barriers to spending in retirement transcend wealth levels. It doesn't matter if you're a low income or a high income. It is that tendency to underspend.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. So my son works in a restaurant. He's a restaurant manager and lives out in Scottsdale, Arizona. In fact, one of the more affluent areas of Scottsdale where the restaurant is located. And he'll get clientele complaining about an expired coupon and they want to use it. He says some of them are very frugal, to be honest with you.
They pull in their $200,000 car, which they valet, and then they're like, I need my $17 off. This is not
no kidding. Yeah, right. Seriously, it happens all the time. This is a big one, too. Seriously, fear of the unknown. We're all nervous about that, Ben.
Yeah, and I don't think that really can change with the conversation, but I think part of the goal here is to understand that the uncertainties of retirement can amplify anxieties about spending. Fluctuations in interest rates, stock market volatility, potential tax policy changes can create a sense of financial insecurity. And the fear of outliving your savings or facing unforeseen medical expenses can lead retirees to adopt a very conservative spending approach. I would say also that, while we talk about the financial aspect of things, we also have to talk about the psychological aspect of, for a lot of people, they are in the highest position that they've ever been in before they retire. They have earned their way up to the kind of the top of the ladder. They're making more money than they've ever made before. And now the idea of giving all that up and not doing it is tough. And so it's also, a tough transition to be like the person that has all the answers to just a retiree who may go to yoga class at 11 p.m., right? a.m. So it is a different psychological mindset for people. And it's tough for a lot of people to give that up.
Yeah. How do you react to folks who want to react to a volatile market? And, that's part of the fear of the unknown. Ben, we've had that, about a month or so ago? We had that roller coaster for a little bit there. What do you think?
Yeah, first, when that happened, I was on vacation in Florida celebrating my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations again to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was the time that Hurricane Debbie decided to come through. So here I am, in my orange T-shirt, with a hurricane behind me on the closed balcony. It's like, look, we're going to survive the storm. We're going to weather the storm. Don't worry. But I also had, some very intelligent clients that are like, get all my money out of the market today. Please do that. And I said, listen. It's your money. Yeah.
Hold on.
Look, ultimately, it's your money. So if you want me to get everything out of the market, I will, because it's your money, and I'm going to listen to you tell me what you want me to do. However, you do pay me for this advice. So let me give you my recommendation. And the recommendation is, and knock on whatever wood you have available, has been good thus far. Hold on. We understand that these things happen. You are planned and prepared. Your investments are prepared in a way that they can withstand these market forces, that you have places to get money from where we don't need to overreact to these expected fluctuations. Don't worry about it. And let this pass.
Yep.
Now, if you want to react afterwards, after things have recovered, and then move things to a saver, we can do that. Or if you want me to do it right now, I still will. But let me tell you my recommendation and why.
Well, that's part of your fiduciary responsibilities, to be honest and transparent with folks. You're not just what they want to hear. You're not just pushing product on them. We talk about that all the time. That's very important. That's what makes you different, Ben.
Well, I appreciate it. I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people are good people. I don't feel like most advisors are bad people or are not acting in a fiduciary capacity. But I think a lot of people don't have the frame of reference. I think a lot of people don't deal with retirees all the time. All of our advisors advisors, all that we work with are people who are at or approaching retirement.
Sure. Right.
And so
right.
we understand that mentality and understand how it's much easier to get scared when you're so reliant on this money than it would be for somebody that does all aspects of retirement planning. This is our niche. This is all we do. That's why we're so good at it.
Yeah, and things are a lot different when you're 25 as opposed to 55. So let's talk about the accumulation mindset. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, so for decades, individuals are encouraged to save and invest retirement. This accumulation mindset becomes deeply ingrained, making it challenging to transition to a spending phase, which is what we talked about a little bit earlier. The fear of squandering their savings or encountering financial emergencies can make it difficult to let go of the frugal habits developed during their working years. I have conversations all the time with people that, in retirement, in their bank accounts, now they have $250,000 in cash getting 3.5% or 4%, and say, look, are you planning to buy another house? No, absolutely not. We're not going to do that. All right, well then, why do we need so much cash here, right? What is a reasonable amount that you're comfortable with that will not give you anxiety, but let's put the other money to work to, make sure that we can get a higher rate of return. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't recognize is the impact of a low rate of return over a long period of time on your money. And so we like to map that out for people. Side-by-side comparison. Here's that money getting, 3% for the next 30 years. Here's that money getting 6% for the next 30 years. Obviously, which one would you rather have? Well, the higher net worth. All right, well, how do we do that? Well, we have to write a big check from our checking account. That's tough, right? The only time people normally do that is if they're buying a house and borrowing that money stays in the checking account. And the mentality is to continue to watch it grow, to see that accumulation. And part of that problem is that we need to transition away from that.
How about this one, the impact of loved ones? What do we mean by that, Ben?
Yeah, so the power of guaranteed incomes. Financial experts suggest that converting a portion of investment assets into guaranteed income streams, such as annuities, can significantly increase retirees' comfort level with spending. The predictability of a regular income can alleviate anxieties about running out of money and provide a sense of financial stability. It doesn't matter how smart my clients are. They understand that the market's going to go up and down, but over time it should average whatever it is, 7 to 9 to 10, possibly 11%, depending on when you get in and when you get out. But those ups and downs can be terrifying. And so when you can guarantee a portion of that money, that does help alleviate a lot of the concern. We have everything, and now that's way more valuable now than it was 3 or 5 years ago. Because right now, assuming they haven't lowered the interest rates by the time I finish talking, interest rates are like at the all-time highs for the last, 10, 20 years, right? And so you can get significantly better rates from insurance companies than we could. And if we're looking at lifetime income streams, now would be the time to acquire those. And so I have begun to transition some clients into those that I would have not done it previously, because the payouts are so high. I had a 77-year-old woman who we took some of her money and put it to a place where she's going to get like 8.3 in that ballpark % payout for the rest of her life, just because it was an anxiety-causing problem that we could alleviate. Look, we do that by having people come in. We can always present options and considerations for people. We have access to investments that you don't have on the retail side, just because we are financial planners, we are financial advisors, we are CFPs and CPWAs and retirement income certified planners, and we have a host of different designations from the different advisors within our group. This is all that we do.
We believe in better. A better way to invest, a better way to serve you, and a better result. We can help you determine how much risk you're taking, red flags that could be potential problems for you, how much you are paying in fees or commissions, potential tax liability, or even how to address Social Security. Call Ben Fuchs at Fuchs Financial, proudly serving all of Connecticut. Call today, 800-380-8985. 800-380-8985.
Pop culture's going crazy about a new Alien movie that just hit theaters. Remember 1979? Remember the Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver?
Nope.
It was very scary. I got to tell you, it was. Well, there's a new movie now called Alien Romulus. It's lighting up the screens and scaring people a lot. Now, you know what's really scary, though? Going retirement, finding out you got to go back to work. No! You don't want to go back to work. As Ben has talked about in prior shows. In fact, a little bit earlier in this show, we talked about that. Well, it turns out there's some lessons you can learn from these alien movies that can relate to retirement planning. In fact, we got 6 of them that you need to know, and we don't want you screaming in your retirement space. Here's the first one. Prepare for the unexpected, Ben.
All right, an alien, the crew encounters horrible things that they could not have even imagined. Things really go wrong for them when least expected. In retirement, you may face unplanned events such as market downturns, medical expenses, or changes in living conditions. Having a solid contingency plan, like an emergency fund or diversified investments, can help you navigate these uncertainties.
Yeah, it's. I think I forget the name of the. Of course, I don't remember the name of the insurance company. But remember the ad in which they're reacting like they're in a horror movie, and they go, "Let's hide behind the chainsaws." I love that one.
Yeah,
why do we go in the running car? No, hide behind the chainsaws. Let's head for the cemetery. No, you're making bad decisions.
Yeah,
right?
and it was a serial killer that actually took off his mask. Like, what are you people doing? Like,
I know exactly.
This is like you're not. This isn't even fun for me. Make it hard.
It's not even fun for me because you're making it too easy for me. Yeah, so prepare for the unexpected because, and that involves, like you said, having an emergency fund. That's part of the unexpected plan. Am I right, Ben? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are parallels that we can make to that specific commercial when it comes to retirement planning, right? When he was talking about, let's hide behind the chainsaws. It's like, let's sell because the market just went down. Even though for years we've heard buy low, sell high, don't panic, and and everybody says, I'm not going to panic, but I feel like this time is different. This time always feels different to everybody when you're in the thick of it, when you're paying attention. Mm-hmm. That is the deal, and that's why it is so beneficial for so many people to have somebody else manage their finances. It's because they've seen it before, they're used to it, they're separated from it. The same reason that you're not supposed to negotiate for yourself when you're signing your own contracts or even the cards, because it's not personal. For us, it's not personal. We understand the situations, which is why we can help you better prepare for the unexpected.
Right. And pharmaceuticals can help. Just keep that in mind. They've helped me quite a lot.
That is not a recommendation of Fuchs Financial.
Not a recommendation from Ben. It's from me, and what has nothing to do. Put the disclaimer out on that one, Ben.
Hate mail can be sent to Gary.Nolan. Okay. He doesn't care.com.
Yeah, exactly. How about risk management is critical? What do we mean by that when it relates to this?
The crew in the movie does the unthinkable by bringing an alien on board the ship. No risk management, no foresight, no sense. They should have seen the hazards and acted accordingly. Similarly, retirees must manage financial risks such as inflation, healthcare costs, and longevity risks. Strategies like insurance, careful investment choices, and planning for long-term care can reduce the financial aliens that might disrupt your retirement. So again, we know that there will be unexpected things. We understand that that's just part of life. Nothing has ever gone to a script. We have, what is it, the best laid plans until the first arrow, or you have a plan for the fight until you get punched in the face. I forget what Mike Tyson said. But
exactly.
all of those are true of retirement. You've got a plan until something unexpected happens, and then now what? Mm-hmm. So again, risk management, planning ahead for the unexpected, absolutely critical.
Yeah, I don't understand. Aliens get a bad rap. I mean, some of them are got to be okay, don't you think?
Listen, if we are a speck in the universe, sir, then there are people that would say that we are the aliens to the. I don't know,
exactly.
Man. You know what? I can't. I can say that I am not qualified to make any kind of decision on the weirdness of aliens.
We need that guy Neil. What's his name? Neil deGrasse or whatever his name. You know who I mean?
Armstrong?
No.
Patrick Harris? I don't know.
Something like that. I can't remember. The expert on the astronomy.
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, there you go. There, I was close. Don't ignore the red flags. What do we mean by that?
Yeah, look, throughout Alien, there were warning signs that were ignored, leading to catastrophic consequences. Remember that chest burster scene? Yeah, that guy was acting funny before then, and they just ignored it. So, in retirement planning, ignoring early signs of financial issues such as overspending, inadequate savings, or poor investment performance can lead to major problems down the road. Staying vigilant and addressing issues early can keep your retirement on track. I can't tell you how many different times we sat down with people and they were spending more than they were making as they were still earning. And here they wanted to retire earlier. And I said, look, I hear what you're saying. I want you to retire too. I understand that the job is tough, but the question is, if you can't reduce your spending now when you're making $150,000 a year, how are you going to be able to live comfortably when you're only going to be able to live on 60? Oh, I'll make it happen. Okay, great. Listen, do me a favor. Before you actually put in your retirement, try living like that now. See how comfortable you are. See if it's worth it for you. See if your life isn't better just working an extra couple of years. I don't care. It's not my life. It's yours. Technically, I'm probably going to do better as a financial advisor if you retire earlier, because that usually means that I'm going to manage more of your money. So if my recommendation is for you to not do that, We don't want to ignore the red flags that you have. Let's try to fix the issues while you're still working, or at least make sure that we have a hold on them before we go forward and retire.
Have you had folks do that dress rehearsal and come back and say, hey, I can do this, or no, I think I need to keep working? I mean, various outcomes, Ben?
Absolutely. We've had people with no problem saying, hey, look, I can do it. It's no problem. We just had kids in college. That was part of the extra spending. Now we don't. We're good. And I've had people say, Ben, I've tried and tried. I know we're supposed to cut our spending from $12,000 to $10,000 a month, but we can't do it. This is just what we spend and what we want to spend, and anything less just isn't good enough.
Right.
And so it's not worth it for us to retire yet. I said, great. Let's adjust the plan. Or maybe we'll start to roll to part-time. Maybe we'll say, hey, instead of 5 days a week, we'll start with 3 days a week so that you can still maintain, not have to pull from your other investments,
sure,
but let them continue to grow. And so, again, there are a lot of different ways to tackle the problem. We just have to understand what the problems are before you retire.
About 3 or 4 minutes left, Ben. How about adaptability is the key? What do we mean by that?
Yeah, so in the movie, Ripley, the main character, survives by adapting to the situation, thinking on her feet, and using available resources. In retirement, adaptability is equally important. You may need to adjust your spending, find new ways to generate income, or alter your lifestyle as circumstances change. Flexibility in your plans allows you to be better at handling the evolving changes of retirement. Listen, I know this show isn't about me, but I can tell you as a financial advisor, we need to continue to evolve in ways that we can find income for our clients, right? I mean, for a while in 1980-something, when bonds were paying 10 and 12%, bonds were the easy go. That's why you have all these 60-40 portfolios where 40% of them are bonds. Fast forward to 2018, 2019, 2020, we had bonds that were paying like 2-3%. We need to adapt. We need to change. We can't use the same old methods. And so a lot of people are using dividend funds. A lot of people are using other things like structured notes. There's lots of different ways to tackle the problem. We just have to be able to adapt. So not only do you need to adapt over time, but your financial advisor does also.
Right, and that's part of Ben's fiduciary responsibilities to find the best situation for your individual plan, and that's what they do when they put together that How to Retire Blueprint. 800-380-8985. A few minutes left here, Ben. Let's talk about teamwork and trust do matter.
Yeah, the crew's lack of communication and trust leads to poor decision-making. In retirement planning, working with trusted advisors, whether financial planners, estate planners, or family members, is crucial. Open communication ensures that everyone involved understands the goals and helps create a well-coordinated plan. Listen, if you're talking to a financial advisor and they don't understand what your goals are, how can they help you get there? If you're talking to a financial advisor that doesn't care about what your goals are, why are you working with them? Ultimately, you want somebody that cares about you and accomplishing things that you want to do, that you've worked for your entire life. That's where you need to be to get to be comfortable in retirement. So I think I get very frustrated when I hear about people saying that, their retirement planner threw their papers across the room or doesn't answer their questions or won't even tell them what their fees are, right? These are issues for us. And that's the other part, is that we need to make sure that we have a clear exit strategy with full financial planning. In the movie, Ripley knows what victory looks like. She understands the winning conditions. Ultimately, the reason that people work with us is that we know what winning looks like. We understand what the winning conditions are. We are your retirement planning coach. We are your partner here. We want you to do well. Because let's be perfectly honest, we get a tremendous amount of new clients from existing clients, and we don't get those unless we do an amazing job for you, which is why it's so important for us to continue to do a great job and to do everything that we say we'll do over and over again, because we want you to have an excellent retirement. You've worked your entire life for this. We just want to help you get past the finish line. Now, if you need help figuring out when to start taking Social Security, how to generate income in retirement, how to save money on taxes, how to create the right estate plan, these are things that we help all of our clients with, or at least have the capacity to help all of our clients with, as long as they're willing to accept a little bit of help.
Do you ever feel like you're fighting for financial knowledge? Don't let bad advice be a punch in the gut to your retirement. Take advantage of a complimentary, no-cost, no-obligation consultation with a local, trusted financial coach.
Call Ben Fuchs and the team at Fuchs Financial, 800-380-8985. That's 800-380-8985.
All right, before we get to our questions, Ben, I'm going to play a clip for you. Heritage Foundation public finance economist E.J. Antoni analyze current economic condition and weighs in the risk of a recession on making money. I'll play this and I'll get your comments on the other side.
The only way to describe the consumer today is they are strapped as can be. This report, I think, really encapsulates how so many people are feeling. They're facing record high prices for all kinds of durable goods, but they're also facing record high interest rates on their credit cards. That's a deadly 1-2 punch for the American consumer who just can't afford any more debt at this point.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely and totally agree. It is one of those things that's feels like it's a domino about to fall. And one of the things that people that has given people, I would say, comfort with the market has been consumer spending, right? Oh, consumer spending is still high. Consumer spending is, well, that was fine, 3 years ago when people still had a lot of money left over from COVID and they had money in their savings accounts. Consumer spending going up was a positive. Now with debt, credit card debt specifically, at its highest level, I think, ever in history, it's a big, big red flag. And it's one of those things, again, we talked about not ignoring red flags. This is a monster red flag that we should not be ignoring, is that people can't continue to spend this way and that people need to do a massive pullback. And so we shouldn't be surprised when people are talking about, oh, could there be a recession? Maybe, but this is one of those things that could absolutely cause it when we see people needing to spend more money paying back the interest on things they've already bought instead of being able to buy new things or new experiences or new trips. So it's something that can't be ignored. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And they say, well, inflation's going down, but it's not that it's going down. It's just not raising as high a rate as it has in the past. And also it's stacked. You go back a couple of years ago and it was 9%. So you're stacking the 9 on top of the 3 and the 5, whatever it's been for the last couple of years. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one example of this is just looking at Social Security, right? If you think about what people were projected to get in 2019 or 2020 versus what people are projected to get in 2024 or 2025, you've seen the impact of that significant inflation. I can tell you from memory, last year, Social Security inflation went up 3.2%.
Yep.
The year before that, it was 8.7%, and the year before that, it was 5.9%. So here we have some significant raises on top of the 8% that people get, just for waiting to take it. And so, we look at that because in our programs, when we do reviews with our clients, with our existing clients, we'll go back and say, oh, here's where you were 3-4 years ago, here's where you are today. And it's interesting because that number of what they were going to get from Social Security is so much higher today than it was years ago. But that is a result of inflation. And, I don't need to tell anybody listening the impact of inflation, the impact of the grocery store, wherever you go, that's inflation. And so it's a big problem. And so I think what has to happen is, look, previous generations got really good at buckling down and just saying, I don't need it, I'm not going to buy it. I don't need it, I'm not going to buy it. And how many of you had aunts or uncles that had a coupon book? I know that I did.
Yep,
right?
Me too.
I know people that, all kinds of different saving strategies, the coupon, the arguing. My grandmother at one time took my father's mother, took my mother by the hand, led her back to the grocery store in Nashville, Tennessee, to show her how to return something that she shouldn't have bought because they absolutely would not have accepted that, back in my grandmother's day. That was not
a great story. Yeah.
And it's just, and don't get me wrong, my mom has an A in that class now. But at that time, it was something that had to be learned and understood. So I think we're at a point now where people have to take note. They have to, again, not ignore the red flags in their own individual economies and your own personal styles. Just say, there are some things that we were buying that we just can't afford right now. Let us make a change. Let us make some differences.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great advice, Ben. All right, let's get to our questions. Jim in Glastonbury, 61 years old, never married, no kids. How much retirement planning do I really need to do, since I really don't care if there's any money left over for anybody when I die? What do you think?
I mean, you don't need to do estate planning. That's a different concern, right? Or as much estate planning. I mean, if you want to have some control over where that money does go when you die, then you should do what I would consider to be the bare minimum. At least set yourself up with a will, no problem. But in terms of retirement planning, that's a financial conversation. How much income do you want to generate on a monthly basis so that you can do all the things that you like to do in your lifestyle? And if that's not sitting at home opening up a can of beans and positively going somewhere, if that's renting an RV and traveling the country, if that's working more in your garden, if that's doing really extensive landscaping like I have some some clients that do some pretty cool stuff in their backyards, awesome. Or if that's, going through a bucket list of countries that they've never been to, let's take a look at that. Or just day-to-day living. Let's take a look at what your day-to-day expenses are. Let's take a look at what you normally spend in a full year, including taxes and everything else that you wouldn't normally expect. And let's make a plan for it. It doesn't have to be crazy, but everything needs a plan. And everybody needs to have a plan, even if it's a simpler one than some of the more extensive ones that involve estate planning.
Sure.
So I would say it's important, and I would say it needs to get done just so that you have the peace of mind for it, and to make sure that you're not making any mistakes.
All right. Michael in Middleton. I am a small business owner aiming to retire in 3 years. At 67, I have $400,000 in a SEP IRA. The business is on the market, expected to sell by the end of the year. What should I be doing now to make sure I can retire on time?
It's interesting. So the timeline is funky. You say, well, if they're trying to retire in 3 years, why are you selling the business now? Great question for the rest of the listeners. Typically what you see happen is that when business owners sell their business, they stay on for a period of time to ensure a solid transition. Part of the payout package, a lot of times, is dependent on the performance of the business through that takeover. We've seen that in financial scenarios. We've seen that in other industries. So common if you're wondering why there's that discrepancy. But I think, like anybody else, Michael, we need to figure out what your expenses are. And that is a lot harder for small business owners. Any of you who are small business owners may be nodding your heads in the car right now as you think about all the expenses that also can be ran through the company that will no longer be able to be run through the company and will have to be done through your personal expenses going forward. So that has always been somewhat of an issue for our clients. You can't just do like the traditional way of looking at expenses. You have to add in a higher number than what you would normally expect to see. But we can help you do that, and we can help you create a plan. Bottom line is like anybody else. The equation for retirement is very, very simple. What do you have? How much is that earning? And what are you spending? We take those three things and we can create a retirement plan. We can build in all the unexpected. We can talk about the taxes that you're going to pay if you sell the business over the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. If you're going to take return of principal over the next 5 years and interest over the next 8, how you design that plan is totally up to you. But whatever you end up doing, we can help you build a plan around it. And that's going to be our goal.
All right, final question. Jeremy in Granby. My wife and I are 51 years old and without a retirement plan. Now that our son is through college, we're thinking about our financial future. We don't have a retirement plan, but have 3 life insurance policies with a total cash value of approximately $100,000. Should we remove all of that cash and invest in a Roth IRA? Should we keep saving for retirement? What do we have for Jeremy in Granby?
All right, so a couple things. I mean, the life insurance, as far as I'm concerned, was really designed to cover, expenses in case both of you died, right? And now that the focus is not like I'm taking care of the next iteration, because the goal isn't to give them, I know the cash value is $100,000, the death benefit I'm assuming is much, much higher. So we're not necessarily worried about that death benefit anymore. We can use that for different pieces and coordinate different plans for that. For a lot of people, they plan to slowly, incrementally take money out of a life insurance policy and use that as part of their normal spending, because loans from life insurance are not taxed. They are tax-free unless you take out the whole thing. Then you got to be careful. There are different provisions in there. So there are ways to go about it. But the bottom line is, now that you have all this extra income that's not spending, you don't want to allocate that to like travel. You really need to focus on your retirement, because if you feel like you don't have a plan, then we've got 10 to 15 to 18 years, somewhere in that ballpark, that we can really focus on saving as much money for retirement and give you a nest egg to live off of. That is what I would say the focus is. I wouldn't necessarily focus specifically on the life insurance, even though that's your biggest question. I would focus more on creating an overall retirement plan and find the right way to work that life insurance into the plan. Some cases we cancel the policy, take the cash value, move it somewhere else. Sometimes we leave the life insurance alone and plan to take money from it, but that will depend on everything else you plan to do as you prepare for retirement. But it's a great question. It's a common one. You're not alone in the fact that you haven't retired. There's no finger shaking here for you or at Fuchs Financial. Our goal is to help you to retire, and people come in all shapes and net worths. We have clients that have $50,000 and we have clients that have $20 million net worths. We're blessed to be able to help a lot of different people, and you're going to see different advisors based on what those plans are and what your tax scenarios are and your estate planning goals and everything else. But Ultimately, our goal is to be able to help every retiree that comes to us, even if that means you don't become a client. We do offer those free consultations to help people transition to retirement and make sure that they are looking at all the things that they may not have considered as they approach retirement. Some people are taking too much risk. Some people have no idea where their monthly income is going to come from when they've retired. Some people are paying way too much in taxes and have way too much, I would say, issues with their taxes going forward, things that need to get cleaned up. And a lot of people don't understand all the investments that they don't have access to because they're retail investors instead of financial planners. When people give us a call and they come and meet with us in one of our offices in West Hartford, in Middletown, or Middlebury, we'll go through all those things with you. You don't have to pay us for that. You don't owe us a dime if you decide to not become a client. That's fine with us, but we can likely give you a plan and still help you on your way. And we're designed in a way to be able to do that without needing anything in return. So you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Pick up that phone, give us a call, schedule an appointment, because without that, we can't help you.
Well, you heard it from Ben himself, 800-380-8985. We still have a limited number of availabilities on our calendar. And remember, just what Ben said, there's no cost, there's no obligation, so why not take advantage? Get yourself all set up with that How to Retire blueprint. It's a comprehensive plan, unique plan, your plan, or individual plan, as I'm trying to say. 800-380-8985, the How to Retire Blueprint. Folks at Fuchs Financial are standing by. Wow, the show has flown right on by. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. We hope you found the information we presented helpful. Look forward to all of you being back next week. We'll have new topics and new questions right here on How to Retire with Ben Fuchs. Ben, it's a pleasure as always. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you next week, sir.
Sounds good, Gary. Same to you, my friend.
Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, hereafter known as Foundations, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment, opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Any discussions of specific strategies are for informational purposes only and have been provided to help determine whether they may be appropriate for your specific situation. If applicable, the primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. Each individual investor situation is different, and ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Nothing herein constitutes a recommendation that any security, portfolio of securities, or investment strategy is suitable for any person. No legal or tax advice is provided. Please review your retirement, tax, and legacy planning strategies with a legal or tax professional before transacting or implementing any strategy discussed herein. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. This is not endorsed or affiliated with the Social Security Administration, any federal Medicare program, or any U.S. government agency. If applicable, we do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. All rights reserved.